What's happening, y'all? You hanging out with the gods, baby? It's Gawdscast. What's good, P? How you doing, man?
Hey man, I'm living out here, man. You know I couldn't ask for anything better, baby. How about yourself?
Oh, it's Sacktown, man. We went through a little hot weather earlier. It's cooling off, but things is heating up in this fantasy land, bruh. So you know how we do it. The fantasy gods, we gonna be
That's
heating up here
facts.
soon, man. We've been putting in some work, bro, on the low. We've been putting in
On the
some damn
low.
work. They ain't ready for that yet, bro.
Hey, don't flash it just yet, baby.
You
Hey,
know what I'm
don't give out
saying?
that product just yet. They need to, you know what I'm saying? They need to wait, man. They need to
The
wait, you
wait
know.
the wait is almost over. Friday, this should look like some official shit right here, bro. You can see little, you know what I'm saying, a little sneak peek player previews. You got rankings from all the guys, the gritty guys, and it's gonna this shit
Yeah.
go, man. I don't think they ready for this, dog. Like straight up, I
They
don't
ain't
think they
ready,
ready for this
bro.
kid.
They ain't ready. And I'm telling you, man, the dope thing about this kit is it's from the perspective of some real ones. You know what I'm saying? And what I mean by that is like you're gonna have the consensus. You'll see a lot of people talking about, or they're trying to stay within that consensus, not
Yep.
really, not really going out there and doing what they would really think in some cases. With this, you got it all out there, man. We've been doing this shit for too long not to know what's going on, like not to foresee these kind of things that are happening. So,
Facts.
so you got some real spill up in this draft kit. The best thing is also it's for the F. It's for
It's for
free.
the F.
It's for free. We
Free,
ain't gonna try to nickel and dime y'all. You know what I mean? We ain't gonna try to nickel
not
and dime y'all.
yet.
It's coming in. What up, Smooth?
Smooth, what's good? What's good? I know Smooth's ready for the draft kit. You're gonna have it on Friday. This is the sneak peek, Smooth. Since you know what I'm saying, you loyal, you a god, man. Hey, this is it right
Yeet.
here, bro. We coming with some heat, man. And this draft kit, you mentioned it, bro. It's not just like we don't have no standards. Like we are not set to like, oh, we have to go by ESPN and we can't piss people off. We say whatever the hell we want. And so you're gonna get the
Facts.
real, how we really feel. Like I think people are always like, oh, you don't really feel like that. They can tell with us. We're giving them real information. I don't care about my
Mhm.
leagues. I care about getting people can know my strategy. You're gonna know my strategy. This is how I draft. But guess what? You still can't stop it. So
Can't
we
stop
here,
it.
man. We here to answer your questions today. Talk draft strategy. Dan will be on a little bit with us, but let's get into this first question. Smooth, man. Always got some good leading questions. Just traded my 11th pick for the 7th. Did I make a good decision? It's a 12-team full PPR draft. P, let's leave the question up there. P, draft strategy is also something we got to think about heading in. And there's different types of leagues where people have keepers, sleepers, and where they can keep people for a certain amount of capital. What are your thoughts on trades before drafts? Are you trying to get like earlier picks? Are you trying to trade down? Like, what's your overall goal when you're looking into trades pre-draft? Because that's tough.
It is really tough. A lot of the draft order can be really random. But now is the time to get these like mock drafts out of the way. Find out where you feel comfortable picking. And like let's say your league issues the picks where you're going to be picking out like the night before or whatnot.
Yeah.
That's something I would consider like if you get like the number 2 or 3 pick and you feel a lot more comfortable drafting at like the 9 spot or like the back of the, in the back. And so you can get that, that wraparound pick, then that's something I would consider. Right now, Smooth, you said you traded the 11th pick for the 7th. I'm sure that wasn't straight up, right? So you probably had to give something else up. What that is, what kind of determines if I think it's a good decision. It's always good to get those players that you want. But it just depends on what you gave up. Me personally, I like that wraparound pick or the back end pick so I can get back to back players and kind of set the tone of a draft.
Well, it sounds like what he did, P. It sounds like he traded instead of drafting from the 7th spot through the whole draft. It sounds like he traded the 11th spot in the draft for the 7th spot in the draft. So the other guy was probably like, I want to get the wraparound pick. Me, I like the middle of the draft because we talked about this on a different episode. I like being able to fill out the draft. And because if you go to wraparound, sometimes you're forced to reach on players because you don't know what's going to come back around. So for me, I like being in the middle and being able to kind of get a flow. Okay, there's a run on this going, or I need to be the person to start the run. Like too many
Facts.
people in drafts are too reactionary. When players start going, that's when they're like, oh, I got to get a running back before they're all gone. I'm like, nah, I need to start this shit now, because then when it gets back to me, the player I really wanted might even still be there.
Yeah, that's facts, right? Like it's important, man. You can't like follow what these people like in the draft we did a few weeks back or whatnot. There's a crazy run on quarterbacks early, right? And so they started in the first round, you know, because there's an emphasis on quarterback scoring or whatnot, or six points per touchdown. But there's still studs at other positions, right? And it's not just the top tier quarterbacks that are going to get those 6 points. All quarterbacks are still going to get those 6 points. So when you're looking at a team A versus team B, yeah, this team may have better quarterbacks, but you're still comparing the quarterback position of each team, right? And if you're stacking up while everybody's chasing quarterbacks, you're stacking up at your wide receiver position. You may luck out with 2, 3 top 10, top 12 wide receivers. Then you're going to have a really scary team, right? Yeah. And you're still going to have those back-end quarterback, back-end quarterback ones or quarterback twos that you could really rock with, right? So don't get too crazy and don't try to go too much with the flow. Try to start your own flow and try to set your own tone of the draft.
Ain't mad at that, man. And he's also asking, do loyal fans of the podcast get the draft kit for free? Everybody will have access to the draft kit for free. Speaking of, Dan, what's good, free, man?
What's popping, man?
What's good, bro? We in here giving them a little taste, not giving them the whole draft kit, just giving them a little taste of the cover. Let them know it's coming, man. A little sprank. Okay. A little sprank. So Aiden Lee's asking us a question right now, and this is something that we probably need to get into. Aiden Lee's asking, what's the earliest you would take Najee in PPR leagues? I'll start this one off, actually. And to me, Najee Harris is a guy that you want to take and feel confident in taking, especially in PPR leagues. With the young quarterback there in Kenny Pickett or Mitch Trubisky, which it sounds like it's going to be Trubisky at least early on in the year. Pickett's still kind of far down on the depth chart. Najee Harris is as safe as a pick as it gets. You want to make sure you have a running back that's going to touch the football. And I know there's been concerns coming out of training camp. He's not getting the same touches. We're going to reduce his workload. I'm not buying that shit. They're going to feed Najee. And guess what? He was the RB3 last year, the RB3. And as a rookie, to me, with a lot of the metrics working against him, he didn't have this per carry and the O-line sucked and all this other shit with Najee. He still finishes the RB3. I think there's upside with that. I think he has potential to finish as the RB1 on this season. I'm taking him number 3 or number 4 running back, at least number 3.
Hell no.
Go ahead, P.
All right, let me spit some real at y'all, man. Like, look, Najee's cool, and Najee's one of those workhorse backs. But check this out. A lot of his production came off of those 74, 76 receptions by check down Ben. He's coming from, they're transitioning from Ben to obviously one of these younger quarterbacks. Trubisky's whack, right? But we don't know what Pickett's going to be. He's advertised as a big arm guy. That tells me that it's going to be a lot more like downfield, opening things up a little bit more downfield. I don't think that he's going to be getting those checkdowns like he was in the past or from the previous season. So you take that and you accompany with his O-line is still trash. And then you tack on that every other team in that division, every other team is like a top 10 run defense. And then with the rookie quarterback, you have to assume they're going to be playing from behind. And then you got a top 3 quarterback or top 3 wide receiver in Claypool trying to shine, but that's another topic. But to be honest with you, I don't see him repeating. He was top 3 last year, but let's look at it for what it was. How many running backs ahead of him were actually hurt? Didn't play a full season. How many? Like, let's look at it. We got Dalvin Cook missed 3-4 games. You got Christian McCaffrey. You probably so. That is part of it, but you can't be like he was top 3, and then you got Christian McCaffrey, you got Dalvin Cook, you got Derrick Henry, who are all outperforming him at the time when they're healthy. that all miss time, so that boosts up his rankings. It's the Antonio Gibson effect. Everybody's like, "Oh, Antonio Gibson was top 10 running back." Come on, nobody's taking him as a top 10 running back now.
Go ahead, Dan. Man. Go ahead.
You had enough time. You had enough time. So for me, Najee Harris, I think he gained some weight in the offseason. Still looks explosive. Obviously, he's still in shorts and t-shirts. Man, everybody looks good. But I think at peak value, I think the earliest I'm taking Najee is going to be at 5. I think as for running backs, Taylor, it's really hard for me to. Everybody knows I'm a Taylor fan. I can't take Najee over Taylor. McCaffrey's got that upside PPR, when he plays dominant, right? And again, it's not dynasty. So, I like Austin Eckler still in the same role. I think obviously touchdowns are going to come down, but he's still going to be on an elite offense, pass catching running back. And then you got Dalvin Cook. I think Dalvin Cook is prime for a bounce back. He's still elite at the rushing spot, but Najee right there. How do you not take him at least at that spot? Because to me, locked in for a million touches. The offense is getting better. So yes, the offensive line still needs work. They address some of those issues. They have Mitch Trubisky, who is a way better quarterback than Ben Roethlisberger was last year. And so to me, I think that once your offense improves, you have all these receivers. I see the sky's the limit for Najee. I think he has RB1 upside, like Justin was saying. He has that in his range of outcomes, but that's how high I'm gonna take Najee at 5. That's kind of where I rank him.
This Najee disrespect ain't gonna be tolerated for too much longer. Hold on, before we move on, let's kind of I want to do some players real quick, right? Obviously, Najee's gonna be one of those players. We're looking at a draft board for running backs. All three of us have different takes right now. I got him top 3. Dan, you said 5. P, where did you say you would draft him at?
I would draft him more towards the back end of the first round.
All right, so I'm going to go just real quick right now. You tell me the player that you're taking. All right, so we got Najee Harris. Are you taking Najee Harris or Joe Mixon?
Najee.
Dan.
Najee.
I'm taking Joe Mixon. I'm taking Joe Mixon. And let me just bro. I'm taking Joe Mixon. Bruh, let me ask you something.
All right.
Joe Mixon, just real quick. All right, and I'm gonna let you have your piece. They improved. Would you say yes or no? They're a better offense.
They're the same offense.
They're better.
They're the same offense.
The Bengals the same offense.
They're better.
No, I'm saying, are they a better offense than Pittsburgh?
Yes.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Yes.
I thought you meant
okay. Would you say they got a better O-line than Pittsburgh?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Would you say that they're going to be stacking the box more so in Pittsburgh than they would in
What's your
Cincy?
fucking point?
Yeah, I'll give you that.
My point is, you got all these factors, and Joe Mixon is mad talented, bro. Joe Mixon is mad. He's not no scrub just on a good offense. Joe Mixon's mad talented. You got all this stuff going for him, and you're going to choose Najee over him because he was getting hella checkdowns?
Volume is key, man.
I mean, TLC references don't really mean nothing, no scrubs. But, I mean, if we talking Joe Mixon versus Najee, the same factors were there last year. They was there last year, the exact same things. And guess what? Who finished higher? The exact same situation there. And Joe Mixon's upside is also capped.
They're not.
We talk about
not
Najee.
The same situation.
It is the exact same situation as last year. And Najee.
No, they weren't. They're not.
Najee's
They weren't stacking the box.
Joe Mixon's ceiling is capped because of T. Higgins, because of Jamar Chase, because of Joe Burrow. His ceiling is capped as his potential. Well, Najee, when I say he has RB1 capability, he really does. If he caught 90 balls this year, nobody would blink an eye. Everybody be like, yep, we expected that from Najee. Take that lead. That's the difference, I think, with the Joe Mixon and the Najee.
Fair enough.
I'm gonna have to disagree with you there, partner. I don't think it's that high. But if you want to throw in some more player comparables, go ahead. But
Najee Harris or Derrick Henry?
Najee.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't like that's close, right? Nah, that's close. I got them right next to each other. I'm gonna go with Derrick Henry though. I may change my tune a little bit later, but I got them right next to each other in the rankings.
You will change your tune. All right.
I don't know. I don't like how that Tennessee offense is looking.
You know, I can agree with you there. It is. There's something with that.
Gas, bro.
Yeah,
Okay,
I mean,
so
they've been
Najee,
feeding him so much.
They have.
let's move on to another question then, because we can come back to that Najee. We'll have to come back to that Najee conversation a little more
That's
depth
going
once
to
the
be one
season
of
gets a
them
little bit
all. That's
closer.
going to be the whole offseason. That's going to be one of them
Right.
topics.
That's going to be our Jonathan Taylor Eckler last year. Same thing. All right. This is a good question right here. We haven't really talked a lot about this. Where do you think Julio Jones will land? There was somebody, an article or comment that came out. I want to say one of those reporters was mentioning that they think Julio Jones will look a little bit more like the Julio Jones from Atlanta now that he's not injured and had an offseason to kind of prep. I'm not saying I agree with that at all by any means, but where do you think Julio Jones will land? And if he finds a good landing spot, do you think he'll be effective? P, what you think, man?
Me, I think if he's going to land anywhere, just to keep it a buck, I think he's going to land in Green Bay. And I think that's the best situation for him. It's not the best situation for my takes. Obviously, I'm a huge Alan Lazard guy coming into this year. But, I mean, with all their departures, they need experience over there at the wide receiver position. And if you pair him with Aaron Rodgers, and if they truly say he's healthy, which I don't believe, and they're, they got this talk, but if you get him and Aaron Rodgers, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out to Rob on TikTok, the builder. I like what he just said, and I was kind of looking at a few teams. I like the Baltimore Ravens. I think that you bring a guy in, you have an older veteran come in, and you start with Bateman, and you say, look, hey, Bateman has the ability to be a number one wide receiver in the league. He has that in his range of outcomes. He has that. Now, can Lamar hold him back? Sure. We don't know this, but let's just think about it like this. If we pay Julio Jones, a little bit over the league minimum, because, he's a vet, he deserves the money, mold Bateman into a Julio Jones or have the Julio Jones tricks that are needed, Julio Jones could slide into that wide receiver 2 role, take some of that pressure off of Bateman to perform, and also teach Bateman the ways. And then once Bateman, ascends, sky's the limit. I really like Baltimore. I think Baltimore is almost the perfect spot for Julio Jones because they're going to emphasize the run. Their defense is stacked. And I think that they don't need to pass too much. They really don't. And so with that being said, Julio Jones can only be out there for a few snaps and be effective. He could be efficient on 6 targets. He could be efficient with 4 catches for 50 to 60 yards and a touchdown. I could see that being efficient on 6 targets.
Now, I hear Green Bay, and I like the fit there. Dallas to me is interesting, but there's one fit that nobody's talking about, and Baltimore's good too. Don't get me wrong, Dan. Baltimore's good too. There's one fit that nobody's talking about when it comes to Julio Jones, and I think it would be a fucking perfect pairing. This team has an injured receiver, somebody that might be on the PUP list to start the year. They've had another player kind of leave the team, and they're in for a championship run this year. They're in for a championship run and need another wide receiver too. What about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Tom Brady, the Buccaneers, Mike Evans, Russell Gage, and Julio Jones, who's already familiar with that division, come in there and playing just a lesser role until Chris Godwin gets back, can move a little bit inside if they need him to play that Gronk role. If Chris Godwin comes back, gives him another weapon, gives him depth. Low-key puts him with Brady as far as having one of those big-name personalities on the team. I think Tampa would be a very, very sneaky spot for Julio Jones to go and not just play, but to be effective too.
We'll see. A lot of mouths to feed, and I think that I don't know. For me, I feel like Tom Brady is part GM, and he'll get more out of Russell Gage than he would Julio. But I don't hate it. Don't hate it at the end of the day, because at the end of the day, Tom Brady is going to be in a situation to go to the Super Bowl, and why wouldn't you? Especially Julio in his last few years, he's never won a ring. Why not? Why not get on board with that? Which would also make sense for the Chiefs. Why not? Why not put them over there? They really don't have anybody that's really truly established. Let's keep it real. Every single buddy on the team is trying to get playing time at this point. No one has been established yet. There's no establishment going on. So why not?
Yeah, Chiefs. I don't really see Chiefs. They're kind of deep.
I can see Jess's screaming in his head, Miko hard man.
I just see all the
Nah.
weapons there with Kelsey, with MVS, with Juju, even Miko and Sky. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, Green Bay's got to definitely take a shot. I mean, why not?
Yeah. All right. Well, Green Bay, I think they needed too. And here's Smooth, man, always keeping the questions coming in. I was having this debate with someone for a while. I'm saying that Jalen Hurts will finish as a better QB. Let's talk about this for fantasy, obviously. Better QB than Joe Burrow. What is your take on this? One of you guys want to take that one?
Yeah, I'll take it for sure.
Yeah,
can he finish it? Yes, he could definitely finish it. He added an elite offensive wide receiver, and anytime quarterbacks have added those type of talents, where it's Murray, Joe Burrow, and Jamar Chase in the draft, Stafford going from Detroit to Cooper Kupp and all them cats, like it ascends these quarterbacks where they could be mid tier and they could come ahead. Now, do I think Jalen Hurts is an elite quarterback like the Burrows, the Staffords, even the Murray as a passer? No, I don't. But he has the rushing upside, and then you added a weapon. So to me, the upside is there. He could finish QB1. Now, I don't think he's that talented of a passer to finish that, but I think he's easily. Could he finish over Burrow? Yes, because Burrow he barely rushes the ball. Barely any rushing touchdowns. So he's going to have to throw, but it's a balanced offense. Mixon, like we said, is pretty good, and I think that he's going to get probably 10 touchdowns. So that caps Burrow's upside.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good. It's a good debate, right? But if you think about Joe Burrow, he's got all the talent even around him, right? He's got stud wideouts. He's just got all these weapons. And, what he do, like 46 and 34, 4,634 touchdowns last year. Like, what is his ceiling? What do you think he can do? Like 48 and 45 touchdowns? Do you think he's going to do that? Like, that's his ceiling, right? There's just no rushing upside. And rushing upside is really what gets those quarterbacks to that, like, upper echelon, right? So if I'm picking between the two, I'm always gonna go Jalen Hurts just because he does have that rushing upside.
Now, I agree with both of you guys, obviously, and I like Jalen Hurts for my fantasy team personally. I think he is one of those players that takes you over the edge and obviously has a very safe weekly floor. The problem I see with the Jalen Hurts versus Joe Burrow conversation is that sometimes when you do depend on your legs, you tend to get nicked up. We saw Jalen Hurts have a couple questionable games or games where you can't use your legs. And so that can affect you later on down the season. And it seems they're almost adding more weapons around him to make him less of a runner and more of a passer as well. So I do have my concerns with Jalen Hurts now. I would take Jalen Hurts because the upside. You're only taking Jalen Hurts, I think personally, you take Jalen Hurts for the floor weekly and then the potential upside to finish as the wide receiver or the quarterback one. Now, Joe Burrow to me is the safer pick. So if you're looking and you don't have a very high risk tolerance, you want the upside, but you're also okay with the risk. Like there's a very high possibility with the way that Hurts plays that he misses 2 or 3 games in a season. Joe Burrow, it's less likely. So I think you have to assess your own risk tolerance. They're very even, I would say, because of the floor for Jalen Hurts and the ceiling for Jalen Hurts as well.
Yeah, I would just throw in Dynasty, I would go Joe Burrow. And the only reason why I say that is because there's a little uncertainty with Jalen Hurts' position as a starting quarterback there.
At least long term.
It's definitely a make or break year for Jalen Hurts. He has no excuse now. They traded for A.J. Brown. Hopefully A.J. stays healthy, number one. But, there's no excuse for Jalen at this point. But Joe Burrow lit it up at the end of the season. From week 16 on, he was just dominating in the postseason. Again, from week 16, he was the number 1 rated quarterback. 17, number 1 rated quarterback. Week 19, when he had that bye, it's number 7. The week 20, number 5. 21, he was the second, and 22 was second rated. So he just keeps going better and better and better. And Joe Burrow should dominate, for years to come.
Facts.
Yeah, and then keeping on the player debating, I love this. So Smooth, if you got more players like this, we're going to be talking about this a lot. Obviously, for those who are watching not live with us or with live, we have the draft kit coming out this Friday. So make sure you guys are prepared for it. It will be free, and we have more details to come on what's in it very soon. Make sure you guys are following and subscribe to the channel if you aren't already. But Nick Chubb and Aaron Jones. This is a good one because Nick Chubb has a backup in Kareem Hunt that is fully capable of taking over and being an RB1 on any given team. Aaron Jones has a backup who looks like he wants to take over as a starting running back in A.J. Dillon. Guys, this is going to be one of those gray areas. We talked about this actually on the side chat. Like, there's this little bubble of players where around that RB 8 to 15 spot, you can flip-flop them, man. What are you guys thinking about Aaron Jones and Nick Chubb this year?
Go ahead, Pete.
So this is like you said, we've been talking about this, and you can't go wrong with either of them. I would say I would lean more towards Aaron Jones, and that's just because of, I think, the increase in catches he's going to see. Now, with both of these players, right, like they both can get nicked up. Now, if you say that Deshaun Watson is starting like week 1, I'm probably going Nick Chubb. And just for the simple fact that he opens that offense up, and Nick Chubb, although he doesn't get those passes, he doesn't get as many catches as these high profile PPR backs, he still has those blow up games. He still has these 2-3 touchdown games, which
wouldn't that Jacoby Brissett starting actually help the run game in your opinion? You don't think that? You don't think that it would help the run game? Like they'd have to lean on him more like they did with Baker Mayfield? Because they would throw more with Deshaun, right?
Yeah, they could definitely lean more on the run, but that doesn't always equal better production out of a fantasy running back, right? Like, yeah, it's more volume, but when I say it opens up the offense, you're not with Jacoby Brissett, their chances are they're stacking the box. With Deshaun Watson, they're not stacking the box. And if you could give me Nick Chubb, who averages like 5 yards a carry last year, almost that, if he's somewhere around there, with 6 people in the box, I mean, that's just money for him, particularly in that situation. Now they both got big backs, or they both got productive backs, like and I want to keep it short, but in the current situation right now, at that quarterback situation in Cleveland, I'm leaning towards Aaron Jones.
All right, yeah, I mean, fair enough. I'm going to make the argument for Nick Chubb. I just feel like, again, he's second to Taylor, and as a pure rusher, I just think that he's a lock almost for like 1,200 yards every season. Over the last couple seasons, 1,259, 1,067 in 12 games, 1,400, almost 1,500 in 16 and 19. So to me, he's going to get you 8 to 12 touchdowns. He's going to give you probably 1,100 yards. He's still relatively young. It's 26 and a half, probably be 27, during the playoffs, which is still the prime for a running back. Especially if Watson plays, I think the sky's the limit for Nick Chubb. So Aaron Jones, I think, as the season went on, Aaron Jones started to slowly lose some snap shares during the game. So that you can kind of see that, hey, the Packers are seeing that, hey, man, this guy might not be as efficient as he once was. And, A.J. Dillon's waiting in the wings. So, I'm Dynasty, I'm definitely selling Aaron Jones at this point if I'm not a contender. But I'm still going to rank it. I'm very close, but I rank Nick Chubb. And the cool thing about Nick Chubb is his ADP is around 25 overall, whereas Aaron Jones is around 19 or 18 or 17. So I like the value. Give me Nick Chubb.
Yeah, when we did rankings a couple weeks ago, I initially had Aaron Jones a little lower than I should have. I had him like RB 11 or 12, and I keep moving him up my rankings for whatever reason. And I don't think A.J. Dillon is going to be as big a factor as people think. Aaron Jones was hurt last year and towards the end of the season, so that has to also factor into the usage for A.J. Dillon as well. But when I look at Nick Chubb, the one thing that scares me is his injury history. Like, we've seen him miss multiple games now in back-to-back seasons. So when I look at durability for running backs, I want somebody that can go through an entire season. And because he doesn't catch the ball, and he's even been injured in college as well, there are some injury concerns that I have for Nick Chubb. I have him ranked over Aaron Jones right now, but Aaron Jones is climbing very fast in my mental rankings as I do these mental, rankings all the time. To me, Nick Chubb has the upside when I look at it as like leading rusher in the league, 1,600 to 1,800 yards rushing with like 15 touchdowns. But there's a lot that can go wrong with Nick Chubb. When I look at Aaron Jones, there's massive potential there and a lot bigger floor with the catches and the red zone usage. So even as I'm saying this right now, I like Nick Chubb coming into this conversation. I keep moving Aaron Jones up higher and higher the more I talk about him. I don't think he's fallen off from that range he used to be at when he was like top 5, top 7.
I don't know, man. I'm gonna have to disagree. I feel like, again, Aaron Jones is another year older. And what's crazy is Nick Chubb throughout his career only has about 3 injuries in the NFL, which everybody thinks that he's this, monster injury guy. He had a calf strain in 2021 and missed 2 games. He had a MCL in 2020, missed 3 games, and he had a concussion in 2020, who missed no games there. But Aaron Jones, in 2021 had 3 injuries. He had a knee injury in week 17, MCL in week 10, a hamstring in the preseason. And then in 2020, he had another 2 injuries, calf strain, chest strain. In 2019, shoulder sprain, knee sprain, hamstring sprain in 18, MCL sprain in 17. He's been more injured than Nick Chubb has. So I don't want to hear this whole Nick Chubb is, injury prone, this, that, and the other. I'm scared of Aaron Jones. I don't want nothing to do with Aaron Jones this way, especially if he's going at pick 17 overall, and I'm just seeing him. He's starting to break down. He's, again, like I said, a year older, and in football, they don't call it. It's the not for long league. So we'll see.
Well, one of those guys plays, the other one doesn't play. Because Nick Chubb, he missed what, 3 games last year, 5 games the year before, 4 games the year before.
It was 2 games last year and 3 games the year before.
He played 14 or 17 games. So he missed 3 last year and he missed 4 the year before.
And that's crazy. Right? He missed 3. Yeah, he missed 3 games last year. Still had 1,200 and double-digit touchdowns. That's nuts. That's what I'm saying. With Deshaun Watson there, think about how many goal line touches they're going to get, like red zone touches he's going to get. That's crazy.
Well, Kareem Hunt's still there too, man. The more I talk about it, I'm like, I really like Aaron Jones. Dan, you brought up some good points though when it comes to the injuries, man. I didn't realize he was that injured throughout his career, but he always seems to play. Like he doesn't miss a whole lot of games too. So that's a good point though. Smooth brought up, he said Trey Lance or Justin Fields. I'm not even sure this is a debate. I think I would like to think we all on the same page with this one. Are we? I just got to make sure before I move on to the
Trey
next
Lance,
one.
baby.
Trey Lance.
We can move on to the next one.
This year? It's Trey Lance.
This year?
We can talk about this year. We can talk about the next 15 years. You talk about Trey Lance, baby.
That's just a conversation we just got to move on from.
Why you got Fields?
Yeah, talk that talk, man.
I mean, you have to. Okay, look. At the end of the day, you have to go Trey Lance in this year's format. There's really no debate. How can you? Again, you see what the Chicago Bears have outlined around Fields. Like Mooney is your best wide receiver option. You got a really unknown at this point. He hasn't broken out. I do believe he's going to break out in Cole Kmet as your tight end. But really nothing outside of that. You got David Montgomery, another year older. It's just not looking good for that whole situation is bad. But when you factor in, okay, you got the Niners, who is a Super Bowl contender. Like they may not win the Super Bowl, but their whole team is very, very good, especially defensively. And then you got, the running backs that are set up. Elijah Mitchell is going to start it off. Davis Price probably will get his run. You got Debo, you got Brandon Ayuk, you got Kittle. I mean, there's so many options for the Niners. And then you got a dynamic runner in Trey Lance who shows that old Kaepernick-esque running ability. And his upside is there, which I think Fields has rushing upside, but not to the level of Trey Lance. Now, do I think Fields is a better passer? Yeah, I think he is, straight up. But can the Niners develop Trey Lance and get to the point where he could dominate the passing and then become that, that hybrid rushing, maybe a Hurts or even to the level of Josh Allen type? Because I think Trey Lance has Josh Allen range of outcomes in his repertoire. Like he has that. Will he ever get there? I don't know. There's only one Josh Allen, but does he? He's 6'4", 226. He's a beast. He's a monster of a human being. So, yeah, I mean, you got to go with Trey Lance this year. This is not even a question.
I just don't even see it for dynasty purposes. But like you said, we can move on, man. Speaking of dynasty, Switchfoot 990 is asking, in dynasty, you just won the shit. Congrats to you, my man. And you rostered Cooper Kupp, Mark Andrews. Would you try and run it back or sell one or both? And what's the return look like for you that you'd be happy with? In Dynasty, if you won the ship and you have Cooper Kupp and Mark Andrews, chances are they were a big part of the reason why you won the ship. Now, when I look at Cooper Kupp, he's somebody in his prime right now, just got extended out another 5 years. I'm not really parting with him, especially it seems like you just won, you're in a win now mode. You probably have a lot of the same roster. Same thing goes for Mark Andrews. I'm not even as high on Mark Andrews finishing as the tight end one for this season or even moving forward. Now, what I would do is explore a trade with Mark Andrews. If you could get a Kyle Pitts, if you could go get maybe a slightly younger player, it still has the upside. And Kyle Pitts is really the only person that would move Mark Andrews for in a deal like that. I wouldn't really be going after anybody else. So if I had Cooper Kupp, Mark Andrews, and I just won the ship, we're trying to run it back with the same squad pretty much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not trading Mark Andrews. If I was thinking about it, the ultimate sell high is going to be Cooper Kupp for sure. I mean, with tight ends being, especially in Dynasty, it's so hard to find tight ends that are actually good. Mark Andrews, Travis Kelce, Kittle, and Pitts, I think those guys are your 4. Waller probably slides in at 5. But I wouldn't be trading Mark Andrews.
Why are we selling Cooper Kupp? Why is that even a thing? How is sell Cooper Kupp even a thing?
Well, here's my thing. I think that Cooper Kupp had this amazing season. You're selling him at the peak of his value.
Yeah.
Now I didn't say you should sell him. I just said of the two, who would I sell? I'm not selling Mark Andrews for less than Pitts. Put it that way.
So what would you be okay with selling? Like, so say somebody was like, okay, I want to go sell Cooper Kupp right now, and obviously this guy's asking like, what's the return? What would be acceptable for you to even take for Cooper Kupp?
I need to know, number one, I need to know, what is my team? Can my team win again? Straight up. So if it can't win again, then I need at least a wide receiver that is within, I would say, a top 15 wide receiver, whatever that is for you, a younger top 15 wide receiver. So
like Michael Pittman.
At minimum, I need a Michael Pittman.
Like you're talking about
AJ Brown,
so,
Michael Pittman.
Yeah, AJ Brown or something like that.
A CeeDee Lamb, T Higgins, like something around that range. Like I need at least that, and then I need to address some other positions, maybe probably a running back, and then at least two first-round picks in 2023. I'm good with that.
Yeah, you give me that whole shit, send it.
Yeah, I mean, to keep it real, I would have.
That's selling him at his high. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's selling him at his high.
Yeah, I mean, because if you think of because I don't predict him having those same numbers, right? A lot, he's gonna. I mean, obviously, right?
The wide receiver 1, but not have the same numbers.
I don't think anybody's expecting him to put up those exact same numbers, though.
I get that.
If you have Cooper Kupp, you're not expecting that.
Yeah, right.
But let me ask you something. If you got Cooper Kupp in your inbox for like Stephon Diggs and some change, you're taking that.
Yeah.
What's the change?
What's the change? Like if you got Stephon Diggs in a first.
Yeah, pick up the first, of course. But if you're talking some whack change, I'm not taking it.
Yeah, but like if you think like the person who has Stephon Diggs, he's technically kind of coming off of like a down year, right? He didn't explode like people thought he would. I'm really high on Stephon Diggs this year. I think he's going to come back to that 1,500 yards, double-digit touchdowns. I think that the way that LA is running, like their weapons are back, right? So they're not going to have to rely heavily on Cooper Kupp. So obviously his numbers are going to wilt a little bit. But if you're going to get similar production from what I'm thinking of Stephon Diggs and something, then I'll move Cooper Kupp. One person I'm not going to move is because you're not going to get the return you need for having like a top 5 tight end. So I wouldn't move Mark Andrews. He's young.
Yeah.
He may not be tight end 1. If he's tight end 4, that's still better than the vast majority of your league. That you still possess that advantage. Whereas you can move a Cooper Kupp and still replace that production.
Yeah. See, I agree with the floor for Mark Andrews. So Cooper Kupp to me is going to be locked in as like unless you have Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson, there's no other bet to be like the wide receiver 1, right? Those 3 are the wide receiver 1 candidates out of anybody, including Stephon Diggs. Like, I think the part that people are thinking is that he finished number 1. He had this historic season, so he's going to fall and his value is going to crash and he's going to come back to normal. It was an outlier season. No, he has a new quarterback. He has a different relationship with Matt Stafford. Allen Robinson's there. Odell Beckham was there too last year. Cooper Kupp isn't dependent on his other receivers' target availability. He's going to have his numbers regardless. Allen Robinson probably opens things up for Cooper Kupp. That's the part I don't think that I think people are expecting this downfall because Allen Robinson is there. I think it's the opposite. How do you guard them both? There's going to be enough room for Cooper Kupp to shine in. And Matt Stafford is historically leaned on his number 1 receiver. Historically. And they've all put up great numbers with him. Let it run. I'm running it back with Cooper Kupp, man. Straight up. In Dynasty, they're connected for the next 5 years.
Obviously, he just won the ship. So to me, I probably wouldn't be trading Cooper Kupp. If you just won, that means you're a contender. You're there. Like, run it back.
Nah, you see, I'm the type to put Cooper Kupp in some inboxes and ask for the world. And then, you wake up, you see that inbox.
Who's paying? Most leagues.
You'll have some people pay for Cooper Kupp. People are going to pay for Cooper Kupp. You give me Cooper Kupp, somebody going to pay. Hey, I'll leave with something.
We didn't see you work, brother.
Hey, I'm going away.
I know you're going to work, P. Hey, you might take a few calls, but you're going to get something done. I know that. Yo, Smooth's asking if these players are available and I'm on the clock, who should I draft? Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, and Dalvin Cook. This is a tricky question because it all depends on your league settings. This is one of those open-ended questions where you kind of got to know your league. Is it 10 team? Is it 12 team? Is it PPR, tight end free? Like, we don't really know the settings. So let's just say it's a 12-team PPR league and you're on the clock right now. You probably got the number 4 pick. Who are you taking out of these guys?
Dalvin Cook.
I'm going to go Jefferson. Yeah, I'm going
Dalvin Cook, Jefferson. Yeah, I'll probably go Jefferson, to be honest. Jefferson. He has the safest floor to me out of those guys, highest upside.
Yeah, I mean, I always
upside. He is safest floor. Dalvin has the highest upside.
How does Dalvin have a higher upside than Justin Jefferson?
He's a dual threat, man. He catches the ball. He could rushing touchdowns. In 2020, he was 1,500 yards, 44 catches, 300 yards, so almost 2,000 total yards, 17 touchdowns. How is that not the highest upside?
Because Justin Jefferson has the upside to be the wide receiver 1.
And Cook has the upside to be running back 1. What are you talking? It's not even a question, man.
Dalvin Cook got to stay healthy for one season.
But Justin Jefferson has to rely on Kirk Cousins, whereas Dalvin Cook doesn't have to rely on nobody. Just hand off the fucking ball.
No, but they got Kevin O'Connell from the Sean McVay tree, right? So they already been talking about raising up the number of passes. It's become more of a pass-friendly offense than it has in years past.
That's totally fine. But here's the thing: the last 2 years, Justin Jefferson, 19.4 points a game fantasy-wise. The previous year, 17.1. Dalvin, that's not even Dalvin Cook's best year in the last few years, man. Like his best was in 2020. He had 24.1 fantasy points. So the upside is Dalvin Cook.
How long ago was that?
The upside is like I don't know. You can't just 100% say that. And this is a good question, right? Because all these, I think we could all agree that Chase maybe go third. I don't know, but Dalvin Cook in that offense that they're going to be running, he's supposed to be getting a lot of catches in there. But imagine Justin Jefferson in that Cooper Kupp role.
Well, again, but imagine Kirk Cousins being Matt Stafford. It's not going to happen. I mean, it's just like, come on, man. What are you talking about here? Come on.
I mean, Kirk Cousins is ass, but I mean, he's been shining with ass Kirk Cousins. I mean, what do you want? You know what I mean? Like, he's been shining.
Like I said, I think Justin Jefferson has the safest floor. He's a wide receiver who's elite, and he's young, and he's probably another lock for 1,500 yards and about 12 to 15 touchdowns. That is fine. But when we're talking about upside, especially running backs that catch the ball, it's still historical. This is why you draft running backs early. There's no in most drafts you're going to have Taylor the 101. You don't have Justin Jefferson the consistent 101 in most drafts. It's for a reason, guys. It's for a reason. It's running backs are really have outside of technically quarterbacks have the most upside of anything. If you want to go strictly upside, it's Josh Allen. He is going to blow Justin Jefferson. He's going to blow all these guys out of the water in regards to fantasy points. But that's not how. But because of value, and you could take quarterbacks later. That's why Josh Allen isn't drafted in the first round. It doesn't make any sense. But now, Dalvin Cook has unlimited upside.
I see what you're saying, but I think maybe in a different offense without Justin Jefferson, you probably have more of a point because this offense relies on Justin Jefferson. So when you were talking about 2020, that was when Justin Jefferson was a rookie, right? He was a rookie 2 years ago. So he wasn't the same player back then. Like, I think. Okay,
so are you saying Najee has more upside than Justin Jefferson?
Yes, Najee has more upside than Justin Jefferson.
No,
Najee has more than Justin
Jefferson.
If
he did, he would have made the Fantasy Gods cover. That's all I'm gonna say.
He did though. Oh, I know you see him down there now. I know you see both of them. Hey, both of them on there.
He glad, but I mean, it's crazy because I think it boils down to your philosophy, right? I mean, because you can't deny. I mean, Dan, you made a lot of good points. You can't deny Dalvin's upside, right?
There.
Now, no matter what, if your philosophy is like, man, I could get some running backs a little bit later, then you're gonna lean towards Jefferson, right? It is tough to. I'm really high on Dalvin. But I'm really high on Justin Jefferson too. So I mean, it's definitely a good debate.
It's a good debate, man. And I think touching on the running backs, obviously Smooth wants to continue to touch on the running backs there. What do you think of CMC does different than other starting running backs when each of the players may not be in a good QB situation? So what I think he's saying is, like, obviously we down talked a lot of the other situations earlier with running backs. And CMC doesn't really have a quarterback. Obviously, it's probably going to be Sam Darnold for this year, for at least to start the season off, and then potentially Matt Corral later on. What is CMC doing differently? Why do you guys think that he's more effective than a lot of the other backs?
Because he's just a very good running back. He's very good at his jukes. You know, like he's able to do these things like on Madden, like spin move. I mean, go side to side. I mean, you look at it last year in yards created per touch, which is really the most efficient metric you can put in a running back, which is basically how every time he touches the ball, how many yards does he create? He was top 4 in the league last year. You know, yards per touch, he is 5.8. That's top 5 in the league. Juke rate, 34%. That's top 6 in the league. So he's just a very, very good running back. Now, do I think he's a workhorse? No, I never thought he could be a workhorse because he was, you know, small coming out. He's 202 pounds.
Too small.
Just small, right? So you want running backs that are, you know, 115 pounds or better. That's usually the goal. And he's missed a lot. He has similar, more severity of injuries, just like Aaron Jones. Those guys are small backs, and what happens is those guys get beat up. So, you know, but when he plays, he's like that Shady McCoy, just so good in the open field. One-on-one, you're not tackling the dude. He's just so hard to tackle.
Well, I think that's the biggest point right there for you, Dan, is that CMC is not only just good with his hands, he's not a true run between the tackles type of runner. It's just when he gets in open space, he's a threat to take it to the house every single play. So I think that's what makes him different, is that those games where maybe some other backs need 10 catches to get the fantasy points you're looking for, CMC can get that in 2 or 3 plays in one game. So I think him having that legit home run threat, like you talked about with Dalvin Cook as well, same thing. That legit home run threat is what separates those top guys from some of the others in the pack who are just as good. They just don't have that same open field. Like see him open field off the catch or off of a run, man.
I wanted to get that point real quick, P, and then you can go. He has a breakaway run rate. So basically, what does that mean? The percentage of carries of 15 yards or more, it was 9.1%. That's top 2 in the league. So just like what Justin was saying is that he has that ability to take it to the house.
Got to take it to the house, man. A player we were talking about early on, and I kind of know, I don't know if y'all noticed this, but we started talking about it, and then it caught flames after a while. We started talking about Gabriel Davis, and all of a sudden the world was talking about Gabriel Davis. So do we think Gabriel Davis is getting too much hype? They listened and they tapped in for show on the gods. P, man, I know me and Dana talked about this at large, bro. I want to get your take on Gabe Davis, man. If you say you're high on Stephon Diggs, and we already know, there's a couple targets gone from the Bills now with Cole Beasley gone, Emmanuel Sanders gone. What you thinking?
I mean, I think people seen what he did in the AFC Championship game with those 4 touchdowns. And they're just basically saying, hey, this guy's got the upside of, 1,212, 13 touchdowns. He's good. I think he is overhyped. It's when you talk about breakout, everybody just screams Gabe Davis. Yeah. I think he's going to be good, and he's going to definitely have an uptick. But they still have a lot of weapons there, right? They still have they picked up homie from the Jets, who is extremely underrated, right? And I'm not saying that he's going to be I'm not saying he's going to be the number 2 there, but he's going to be getting a lot of those catches. In short, I do think he's a little overhyped.
Yeah, we've gone at.
I think the hardest point with Gabe Davis, I think, is it's definitely the playoffs. I mean, that game was amazing, one of the greatest games of all time. And for him to put up a monster game like that's going to go in the back of draftees' heads. And I think that it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard to draft Gabe Davis where he's been going. If you get Gabe Davis as your wide receiver 4, you're loving it, 1,000% loving it in your drafts. But he's starting to creep up to that high-end wide receiver 3, low-end wide receiver 2, and I think that's just so hard to really pick him there. So although I like Gabe Davis, and I think that he is everything you want to see out of a breakout player, you're seeing that in the offseason, where his weight is perfect. He's added muscle. The general manager is saying, dude, this dude's a stud. His habits are serious at football. His eyes, he just has that eye of the tiger. I'll go to war with Gabe Davis. Like, that's what you want to see from a breakout guy, where it's like everyone around him is praising him. But that could be a letdown in draft, especially in fantasy. You don't want to you never want to reach in fantasy unless that you just have a feeling. But to me, I feel like Gabe Davis will be good for the Bills, will not be good for your fantasy team.
Everybody's always looking for the next breakout player, and the easiest, laziest thing I think to do is always go to vacated targets. I think that's what everybody decides they're going to look at, is vacated targets and say this player is going to be good because they have opportunity now. Well, no, that's not how football works. That's not how fantasy works. Do I think Gabe Davis is going to have a larger role? Absolutely. I think the team trusts him, and I think that he's going to play that number 2 receiver role very well for them as a football team. Like Dan mentioned, in fantasy, I think you have to take him as your wide receiver 3. I don't feel comfortable with that, knowing that there's some other talented receivers out there who can have a better impact for your team. So with me, I am fading Gabe Davis, and the reason for that isn't necessarily because I think he's going to be bad. It's more so just because I think that that there's other available players you can get Gabe Davis at that Gabe Davis range that will help your fantasy team a little bit more. Rashad Bateman is going at the back end of the wide receiver, like 25 to 30 range, right above Gabe Davis. So get Bateman instead. Go get yourself a locked-in wide receiver 1.
Fair enough.
A couple more, man. Let's see. I like this one. Is Cam Akers. We haven't really talked a lot about Cam Akers on this show or at all in general on our page or anything. Is Cam Akers worth drafting as a top 20 running back? Obviously, we saw him come back in the playoffs. He looked a little bit limited, but that offense already doesn't, it's predicated through the passing game. That's the success of that attack. How are you guys feeling about Cam Akers going into fantasy drafts this year? You got him top 20?
Yeah, I have him top 20.
I do. A lot of people are down on him because of that playoff run that he had. He had a couple good runs, but when they're looking at the total average, I think it was like under 3, right? Which is ugly. But one thing that people don't consider is every team he played in those playoffs had a stout ass run defense, right? In the Super Bowl, Cincy's got a stout run defense. The Niners got a stout run defense. It's tough. It's tough because you don't see too many people, if any, coming back from that type of injury and be like that effective. But in the top 20, yeah, I mean, I'd put him there because he's still young. He's on an explosive offense. Yeah, I mean, I'd put him there. I sneak him in there. I don't think that his yards per carry should be considered as far as like a player as who he is in those playoffs because of the competition he was going up against.
For sure. I like Cam Akers as a prospect when he came out in 2020. I ranked him just as a prospect. I ranked him just one smidge higher than Swift. So. Obviously, injuries, you can't predict those, and it just sucks to see an Achilles tear. But I think he's a top 20 running back with the upside for at least top 12. So, yeah, I mean, it's to me, it's the Rams. Like, their offense is good. You have a solid running back, put 2 and 2 together. That's usually what you want in fantasy. So, I like him. It's just, top 20 is good.
I think he's top 25. I don't got Cam Akers in my top 20, and I think I want more upside than what Cam Akers is probably going to bring this season coming off the Achilles tear and just being in that offense in general. There's some other guys I think I would just take for the upside. To me, I think there's too much risk associated with Cam Akers, not necessarily just with the performance, but injuries, just overall situation, man. I'm not buying into him, and I kind of want to do a little this or that kind of with Cam Akers. I feel like I'd be a kind of cool player to do. So I'm looking around that 20 range. One of the players that sticks out immediately is like J.K. Dobbins. Are you taking J.K. Dobbins or Cam Akers?
I feel like you really got to read the injury reports on both of them. Like, how are they doing? The Ravens have been keeping Dobbins quiet. So for me, that kind of just, I don't know.
Who are you taking?
Scares me. I'm taking Cam Akers. Give me Cam Akers.
Cam Akers over Dobbins?
Yeah.
Okay. Who you got?
I would take Cam over JK. I'm not gonna spend too much time. I'm taking Cam over JK.
Okay. Bet. Who are you taking?
I Cam that way.
Cam Akers, Breece Hall.
I'm gonna take Breece, man. I just healthy, young, and I rank him higher as a prospect. So Breece.
I'm taking Cam over Breece.
I'm taking Breece Hall. Okay, who are you taking? Cam Akers or Josh Jacobs?
I'm gonna take Josh.
I'm taking Cam.
Yeah, I'm actually taking Cam Akers. I'm fading Josh Jacobs there.
Josh Jacobs is there's so many red flags.
Cam Akers or Antonio Gibson?
I'm gonna take Gibson.
I hate Gibson, bro. I'm taking Cam Akers. I hate Gibson, bro. I hate Gibson.
All right. Cam Akers or CEH?
Cam.
I'm taking Cam. CEH is fucking trash. If you guys don't know.
I'm taking CEH, man. I'm not CEH. Yeah, I'm taking over Cam Akers, bro. Over Cam Akers.
So who are the 5 running backs you have over Cam Akers? You say you got him in the top 25. Who are the 5 running backs between him and the top 20?
So I got on my list, I got Fournette, Kamara, Travis Etienne, J.K. Dobbins, James Conner, Antonio Gibson, Breece Hall, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and then Cam Akers.
That's more than 5. What you got? You got Cam with like 28?
I got Cam number 6, 10, 14, 19, 21, 2, 3, 4, 25.
Mm.
I got him number 25 right now.
You have to revisit that one, but
We will. We will. That's a good combo, man. Cam Akers, bro.
Yeah, I got him at 19. A
little high there for me, but which rookie wide receiver coming in from Juke Skywalker was good? Which rookie wide receiver could be this year's Jamar Chase? And it's tough to find those rookie breakouts. Dan, you called Justin Jefferson a couple years ago. I know we talked about Jamar Chase, and I was kind of higher on Jamar Chase last year.
Did.
Who do you like coming into this season to be rookie wide receiver 1 potential?
Wow. Okay. So first of all, none of them. There's none of them. None of them will be a Jamar Chase. Let's throw it out there. Like Jamar Chase is in a class of his own. Yes, I was a little down on Jamar Chase last year as wide receiver 2. I had Bateman wide receiver 1, but hey, it's all good. We missed, and I can't really knock myself too bad if I had him at number 2. But anyway. There's really no one that has that upside. The only theoretical person, in my opinion, that has all of the qualities that you look for and situation to have a Jamar Chase type of season where he could be the wide receiver 1, which would be at least top 12. Like, give me I'm not expecting top 5, but that would be Christian Watson on Green Bay. Huge, massive human being, 6'4", 208 pounds, runs a 4.36. In a situation in which he could dominate targets and he has Aaron Rodgers, that is the only theoretical wide receiver. He will not get there, but if we're talking about this question, which rookie has that upside, it's Watson.
Taking the league by storm. I don't really. Are you a little delayed?
I don't. Nah, I don't know. Can you? Yeah, I don't know. My internet may be a little jacked, but if I'm picking anybody, I think it's really going to be between Treylon Burks and Drake London. I think those two guys are coming in instantly as like their top wide receivers. And I know, Dan, I know you're high on like the measurables and some of those things like that, but I'm a believer if you are put in that position, and you're getting that volume, then you could do something with it. Right, like Drake London has a huge catch radius, and he doesn't have the most accurate quarterback, but he can. I'm not saying that he can be Jamar Chase because I don't think any of them can, but as far as like some of these wide receivers coming out with the potential of like a solid like wide receiver 2 season, like a ceiling of that, then I'm looking at Treylon Burks or Drake London because of the volume.
Drake London is not even going to be the wide receiver 1 on his own team. So it's Kyle Pitts, man. Like, no. Like, at least Jamar Chase has that upside where he could be the wide receiver 1.
Yeah, it's okay.
Justin Jefferson can be the wide receiver 1 against an old Adam Thielen. Like, it's just, like, it's not going to happen for these guys. Like, it's just not. And I think if Drake London had a better quarterback, I would say Drake London fits more of the profile that I look for in rookie wide receivers. So, Treylon Burks is still solid. But he's got some sort of, health lung issue or
came out there lungs collapsing in training camp.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say a name that hasn't been said yet, and I said this after the draft, and I still firmly believe this. But I do think that Chris Olave is gonna have the best rookie season out of any of the rookies this year, and it's not necessarily because I think he's the best receiver. I think it's the best situation. It kind of goes back to what Prabhat said about the teams utilizing their draft capital. And I think that this is one of those players that's going to come in. Jameis has to have somebody to throw to. And I get that they got Jarvis Landry. They went out and got him in free agency. But there's not really, unless Michael Thomas just comes back, hits the ground running week 1, which we saw reports that Michael Thomas is now running some routes. I think they're going to lean on Chris Olave. And it's not like Jameis just doesn't throw the ball at all. He's a quarterback that does sling the rock, and he likes to throw it. So he's going to pass for 4,500 yards at some point. And, I think if he's throwing for that and Michael Thomas, say he comes on the PUP list or he misses a few weeks, there's ample opportunity for Chris Olave. And Jameis is capable of supporting 2 to 3 potential strong wide receivers. So I do like Chris Olave this year as the best rookie wide receiver. And that's more so a knock on the receiving class, just to say anything. It's just I don't really see any standouts.
Yeah, I'm good for Olave there. I mean, like you at least have a solid quarterback that can support. But I just don't see Tannehill. I don't see Mariota or even Kyle Ritter coming in. I just don't see it. So we'll see. I mean, those guys had at least
Kyle Ritter,
whatever his name is.
Desmond, yeah.
That's why I hate this rookie class, bro.
I think I called him Spencer Rattler last week. Like this class, man, you don't even pay attention to it. Well, shit, man, that was I feel like we got the draft kit coming up, man. Before we get off on this episode, let's cover one draft tip that they're not going to find in this thing right here that's dropping this Friday.
Oh,
the draft Bible, baby. Free draft Bible. We're going to post more about it this week if we can get our page unshadow banned for whatever reason.
Man,
what's your one piece of draft advice? Obviously, the offseason is getting ramped up here. Training camp starts in 2 weeks. Season's almost back, baby. We're going to be mock drafting like a motherfucker coming up in this week. But what's the one piece of draft advice or thing maybe that you're looking for before your draft heading into this training camp offseason scenario we're going to be in the next 2 weeks?
Go ahead, P.
Draft advice. The one piece of draft advice that I would give that I lean heavily on is reach for a top tight end. You got to reach for a top tight end. That's the way that you're going to get a clear advantage over the majority of your league mates, right? So I'm really high on them. If you can reach for, that's why I like a lot of those back end first round picks or back end picks, because I can get some first round love and then I can get a Kelsey, right? Or I'm reaching for Pitts early in the third. I may take him late in the second. If you lock up a top tight end like that, it's crazy because they can give you a lot of times wide receiver one production out of a tight end spot.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is just, going, first of all, have fun. I mean, dude, it's not life or death. Like, if you lose, you win. It doesn't matter. Like, have fun, okay?
Some of our leagues, it's kind of life or death over here, man.
Yeah. Facts.
Number 2 is, attack, the draft with just a vengeance, man. Like, you set the tone. Don't let the draft set its tone to you. You set the tone.
Yeah.
And then obviously, study the scoring, because there's so many different drafts out there. We're in the Scott Fish Bowl. That like that draft is just crazy. That league is
Scott Fish Bowl. Thankful to be a part of it.
I'm trembling excitement.
I love it, man.
But anyway, read your stuff, but you dictate the draft. Like you don't conform to what the draft's doing. You set the tone.
Yeah, Dan, you kind of hit on my thought is control the draft. Don't let it control you. I think a lot of people go into the drafts and they're like, man, I have to get this position. I have to get running back. And if there's kickers going, I got to make sure I get a kicker too. It's easy to fall into the trap of the draft. Maintain your control because people are going to do little awkward things during the draft, and it's going to throw you off. Somebody's going to reach on the player you thought you were going to get in the 5th round. Somebody's going to take him in the 3rd. So you got to maintain your control. Make sure you're taking the player that fits your team the best and not worrying about what a draft kit says, not worrying about what a ranking says. Go with the player that you want and then adjust. Because a lot of times people walk out of drafts and they're like, oh, I only got 3 running backs, or I didn't get the quarterback that I wanted. And it's okay because guess what? Injuries happen. New players emerge. It's a long-ass season. Trades happen. Get the best available talent for your team, your skill set, whether that's risk, you have a low risk tolerance, or you don't like risk. Like, find what fits your situation the best and control your draft. Don't let it control you, man. That's my best advice for anybody in the draft. And Juke Skywalker mentioned, I want one of your leagues this year. Hop in the Discord. We got to make some families or something, man. Just get in Discord, bro. It's good.
Discord. We got to get some more leagues going.
We do. We got to get some leagues popping, man. Maybe get some more follower leagues in, man. We have to, because they be coming at us like they can really challenge us. And I don't see in this little group here, I don't see too many L's. I don't see too many L's in this group, dog.
No, sir.
No, sir. Last question before we get off. Smooth said, is there a reason why a lot of people are avoiding Fournette?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll just be quick with it. Doesn't look like he's taking offseason serious. I saw a video with him running with Jamar Chase and DeAndre Swift and another cat, and he looks slow as hell with them. Rachaad White, motivated, handpicked by Tampa Bay and technically Tom Brady. Love him as a prospect running back, so I could see Rachaad White being that dude. But Lenny's a playoff guy, veteran. They'll use him. I don't know. I'm just
playoff
Lenny, man. He's just
Yeah, for me, I'm a fade Fournette, man. I am fading Fournette, and it's more so because of his ADP. It was creeping up there to almost top 12 status where you had to draft him as an RB1. I think that has kind of toned down lately. So to me, I'm not taking that. He doesn't carry the same upside, and I think they're going to limit his touches this year. He got hurt towards the end of last year, and I think they need him fresh for that playoff run because this is Tom Brady's last ride, and they are going to want to win a Super Bowl. They drafted Rachaad White for a reason, and they lost some key pieces on the O-line, which has me more concerned than people think. Rob Gronkowski also retiring is a big part of their run blocking. So to me, there's just a lot of question marks with this Tampa Bay team. I believe in Tom Brady's arm. I think Mike Evans has a hell of a season. But yeah, I'm out on Fournette.
Yeah, I mean, you hit it, right? Like Fournette is they are going to look to preserve him. That team is built for a run, and he shined in the playoffs. And they're going to preserve him because he does get nicked up at that high usage rate that he was last year. So definitely not. He's definitely not an RB1. I got him out of my top 15. So. Yeah, I mean, if you could get him at a discount, rock with him, but at the same time, just be wary, man, because he's got a young stud out there waiting in the wings in Rachaad White.
Yes, sir. Do not reach on Fournette, man. Juke, see your question, man. Is it in the Discord? Hop in the bio. Find the Discord. Yes, it is in there. And on that note, fellas, this is a good conversation, man. Yeah, we out. We out this thing, man. That was a dope-ass combo. Make sure y'all follow the gods on TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, whatever the hell it is. We got the drop kit coming this Friday, man. I'm excited as shit for that, man. I can't wait till it drops. So make sure you're on the lookout. We got more content your way. Fantasy Gods, we out.
Peace.
Yeah.